You know what time it is. You know what time it is.
How firm thy friendship. Oh,
you know what time it is. Roll with them boys of the fall. You know what time it is. On the ground with a nose for the ball. You know what time it is. Blood, sweat, and them tears for this game. Leaving it all out on the field with no fear for you lanes. Buckeyes by a billion. We in the building with over 100,000. We represent from the uttermost to the public housing. And if we don't play, our wide receivers got your secondary shook, so they cook them like Bobby Flay. Hey, stay out of my way and trust me, cause I know it's OH. Somebody please give this brother an IO. Come on.
What up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome to the Buckeye Boys, where we talk college football with real fans. I'm Devin. Got another great show planned for you guys tonight. Gonna dive into the transfer portal. Gonna dive into recruiting and Ohio State strategy. We saw a lot of Ohio State players that a lot of Buckeye fans wanted to see stay on this team, and we figured would still be on this team. We saw them leave. We saw this happen all across the country. Ohio State has avoided this for a couple years now, and it seems to have leaked into Ohio State now. That is college football. We're going to talk about the changes in college football. When I say we, I mean bringing on another guest with us. I'll introduce him in a second. Not really a guest. I don't know why I always do that, bro. Y'all know who he is. But either way, before I do that, you guys have to. It's not optional. If you want to watch the show, you have to hit the like button. You have to subscribe. And you have to super chat $50 each. Nah, I'm just joking. That last part was a joke. But super chats are open. Seriously, subscribe if you want to. Hit the like button if you want to on both channels. Hit us up on Spreaker as well. Apple Podcasts, give us a like over there. And go check out the Scoop message board. It is popping off. Without further ado, let's bring him on. You guys might know who he is. Duke, what's up, brother?
What's up, man? How's it going? What's up, Chad?
You know, living in Florida. It a couple days ago it was 85 degrees. It's a little colder today, but I've seemed to avoid the snow that most of our listeners are being impacted by. What about you? You got any snow there, dude?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We just had our third day of school cancellation announced earlier. So yeah, we got hit by snow and ice.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's the roads are, in the South they struggle with ice and snow removal. Shoot, they should hire me because I think I have the only clear driveway and walkway here.
All right,
ice and put it down.
It's going to be a weird question, but believe it or not, this has been a topic of discussion the last couple shows I've been on. How did you get your driveway clear of snow and ice? Tell me what you did.
So it's a process. One, you pre-treat it with salt. Actually, I got it out a little too late, but I put it on before it got thick. So as it accumulated, it was already melting. So then I went out and shoveled it out. And then I put down more. Salt. So when we're froze again, when it got cold, the temperatures got go down again. I don't have anything to freeze in my. So I just shoveled it all the way. But yeah, it's just being smart. And I mean, I'm from up north, so we know how to do it.
Yeah, you used to. I guess there's a lack of neighborhood teenagers walking around with a snow shovel trying to shovel people's driveways for money. I guess they're not existing anymore.
I was just reminiscing.
They're all on TikTok
about that. We used to get up. A snow day, no school. We used to get up, put plastic bags over our socks and put another pair of socks on, and we'd be out for the day. Come back frostbitten and cold, but we got dough. I miss those days, man.
I used to drive my tractor down the road and clear people's driveways a little bit. But yeah, man, it's now kids can just, you got 10, 12-year-olds stream on Twitter, make $100 a stream. They ain't going out and show
house.
No,
I
it
know.
Ain't gonna happen.
I know. Hey, I mean, I get it, but shoot, ain't nothing like a little bit of hard work.
No, that you got to have it, man. And just like that, the world's changing before our very eyes, and so is college football, Duke. Right? We watched this
Boy is
portal class. Yeah, we watched last year's portal class in the spring last year. Not a single Buckeye left this team. And that just showed you the strength of the culture and the brotherhood. And I'm going to start
Mhm.
off with the heater of a question because it's been making me kind of mad because people assumed and people think that
Right.
because we lost all the Buckeyes we did in the portal, I think like
Mhm.
32, 33, something like that people say they don't want to hear about the culture. They don't want to hear about the brotherhood anymore. That clearly some suggested maybe something is wrong with the culture and with the brotherhood. And I have several reasons to describe why that is not true. And I do not believe that whatsoever. But just give me
Mhm.
initial thoughts on that, man, about people that get a little worried about our culture, our brotherhood, because these kids are leaving in the portal.
Yeah, I think that's I think it's a fair concern, right? Or thought to have, initially, right? And then, you got to step back and look at the total college landscape as a whole, right? It's not just happening in one place where you're seeing, a boatload of kids transferring, right? So it's just like the coaches who, were, begrudgingly, you know, uh, changing with the times. They
Mm-hmm.
got passed by. It's it applies to fans too. You have to be agile in, how you're viewing, college football now because it's constantly changing, right? And some for good, some for bad, but until they work it out, it's going to constantly be changing. And I think the strong point is having that foundation of brotherhood and the culture at Ohio State. So when you're bringing new guys in, of course they're vetting those guys. Every program is you're gonna vet those guys, make sure they are a culture fit, make sure when they come here that they're gonna buy in to the Buckeye way of
Yeah.
the Buckeye way, so to speak. So yeah, it's a valid thought to have to begin with, but harping on it like that's gonna destroy the program and it's gonna be a different program. That's not the case because you still have guys there that are that have been there, right?
Yeah.
And the smart coaches bring in the young guys that have leadership that can step in and help bring and continue the culture and brotherhood.
Yeah. Yeah, we got stars, and I just want Ohio State. I guess we just want Ohio State to stay that special place. Yeah, I'm right there with you. And, that's the initial thought with me when we see these players stay in the past. It just makes you feel good because it's different. It's
Yeah.
not happening everywhere around the country. But I think another piece to this, Duke, and you kind of helped me realize this is that,
Mhm.
right, the only way that you think there's a problem right, with the culture is if you think that the kid left on their own accord, right? If you
Yeah.
think that the kid
That's
wanted out. There's another
mhm.
side to this. There's the other side to where maybe Ohio State is changing things up a little bit because
Mhm.
they watch the teams in the playoffs, they see how college football is headed, right? And they break things down financially. They look at experience on rosters. They want to try to win next year. The best way to do that, and they see
Mhm.
the pay increases that certain players are get. And I don't think anybody will ever know what percentage of these players Ohio State maybe nudged out a little bit, or maybe however you want to put it, whatever word you want to
Mhm.
fill in there. I don't think every one of these players left on their own accord because they wanted out of Ohio State and they wanted a better opportunity. Now, in some cases, yes, I do know and believe that to be the case, but there are
Mhm.
so many variables I think that go into the decision, right, that you can break down with parents and agents involved and
Mhm.
also like I just said, and also schools and position
Yeah.
coaches, right? They'll come in, they'll evaluate you and they will tell you, "Hey, look, man, here's where we have you sitting. We see you in the three deep next year. If you come in as a 4 star, They're going to pay you a certain amount of money. And if throughout the season they evaluate you still in the 3 deep going into your sophomore season, you're not getting a pay raise. You know what I mean? And quite frankly, maybe they want to clear up a roster spot, or maybe they need to clear up a roster spot, clear up some money to bring in an experienced defensive line or whatever position group you want to put in there. It's getting more like the NFL. Look how the NFL builds rosters. That's what college football is turning into. And, you do lose a little bit of that connection with these players. I love that about college football. You watch the same player for 3 to 4 years to 5 years. And even now you can watch the same player for 10 years, play at the same school. It's ridiculous, especially
Right.
in Miami. But anyway, you do lose a little bit out of that. So I think a lot of factors go into this to where you can't just put an overall tag of culture and brotherhood. I've never believed that from the people I talk to, and even interviewing, Riley and TJ. The culture seems pretty good there. The brotherhood seems pretty good. There's a lot of variables that go into decisions these kids make.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's another one of, the things that are changing in college football that fans have to adapt to, right? Yeah, in a perfect world, guys stay, where they start, and and come back, and you have this great alumni base. Yes, I think that is a great part of of college football that I hope they find a way to kind of rein in some of the movement. But like I said, it's like some of the movement is necessary, and some of it is strategic on the kids' part, and on the school's part, right? And because you have the freedom of movement, if you see the writing on the wall as far as your position goes, like, okay, I had my exit interview. Coach said I'm gonna be battling with so and so. All right, and now they're bringing in another so and so at my position, who they say they're bringing in for experience, but also plays my position. So depending on the kid, they're like, dang, all right, coach probably doesn't believe in me as much as I think he does, or else it wouldn't look like this. So they have conversations with their loved ones or advisors, and make a decision that's like best for them, because they have the freedom to do that, right? And then you have kids who like, oh, I'm not worried about that, bring it on. Well, I'll see how it shakes out. And even in that scenario, it depends on how many years they have left, right? Do I have another year to waste to maybe beat earn this spot, or do I need to go, all right, go somewhere where I'm gonna for sure play, right?
Yeah.
And they have that ability to do that now. So a school's gonna do it, and the kids are gonna do it. So it goes both ways. You can't put it all on the kids. And and those are the things that are happening. Sometimes it's a little short-sighted, when a young guy like that, just like, oh, I'm not gonna, I'm not, no, I'm just gonna go get this money. The agent is saying, yeah, you can get this much money here and play. You have a relationship there already with, maybe from recruiting. So they see it as a win-win. And I mean, I can't, I don't like it personally, but I can't be mad at the kid for doing it, because at the end of the day, that's what people. I'm always on the side of the kid. I don't care. I hope that they make the right decision, but whatever is best for them, in their situation, or however they came to that decision, that's what they did. I'm gonna support that kid, right? And like I said, the schools are doing it as well. Hey, you might want to jump in the portal, because it's gonna get tough. And and they do it. Those are the conversations that
Yeah.
are going to be had.
You,
You know, I got
you know
friends
the
who are coaches who tell me that that's what they got to do. That's the nature of the
yeah.
business these days.
The ones that upset me the most are, I'm with you, I'm on the side of the kid, right? That's part of growing up. You make a decision, you stand on that decision, and you face the consequences of that decision, good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go through that. But you're also supposed to, as a kid, as a young man, you're supposed to be surrounded, right, or you should be surrounded by people that want what's best for you, people that have experience, your parents, your agents, adults around you that can help guide you a little bit in that direction. And I think
Mm-hmm.
one of the areas that is very unhealthy, right, for this portal process for recruiting is this agent avenue. There are several good ones out there, right,
Yeah.
that do. They want what's best for the kids, all this stuff. But man, I mean, even little old Devin here on the Buckeye Boys interviewing recruits, I have had, you know, essentially firsthand knowledge and experience of some things that have went on because, Uncle Junior decides to become an agent, right? And he's got to pay his mortgage, right? So it kind of throws a
Yeah.
wrench into things where, right? I even know of kids that want to make a decision. And as a fan, you sit back and think, well, that sounds like the right decision to make, young man. Sit here, grind it out. But no, you're being told by your agent and sometimes even family members that you got to go. I don't know how many of those situations are going on, but even if that happens to one kid one time in college football, it's too much. It's too many times, So there's several sad parts of this. There's several things that need to get reeled in.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I think this will affect a little bit is high school recruiting, right? Because when you talk about these kids that left, a lot of these kids that left, we brought this up last time, right? They're going into their sophomore year. So these were kids that signed last year, gave it 1 year at Ohio State, and now they're on their way. Some Ohio State maybe pushed out, some the kid found a better opportunity, some
Mm-hmm.
maybe got bad advice, some maybe got good advice. But as Ohio State, as a coaching staff, right, at Ohio State, I wonder what coaches are thinking when that happens. You know what I mean? You invest all that time and energy. You even sit down and you have that conversation with that recruit saying, hey, look, so and so's in the room, right? I
Mm-hmm.
see you on a maybe 2 to 3 year plan of grinding this thing out, working your way up. It takes a long time to get there. And then, boom, after 1 year, the young man changes their mind and decides they no longer want on
Mm-hmm.
that plan that they initially agreed to and they initially worked out. Man, I mean, what's your take on that? That has to be a lot on coaches, right? And it makes people bring up the question, right? Are they going to change their high school recruiting strategy? That's just one part. We'll get into the other part that you brought up last time that I found very intriguing. We'll get into that later. But from a coach's perspective, Duke, I mean, what do you do in that scenario? Can Ohio State do anything about that? Do they change their strategy, or do you just have to keep carrying on and
As far as like going
kids will
after
stay the kids will go?
the
The high
top
school
recruits.
kids,
Yeah.
not the
No. I
top, just a normal class, top, middle, bottom, the whole thing.
Well, yeah, they're going to be a little more selective, but what it does is it makes their job harder, right? So then there's a trickle down effect, right? Where like, okay, I'm not gonna put all my eggs in that basket, right? So what are they gonna do? They're gonna go to the portal and get a guy who's established and who are he doesn't okay they'll probably get a guy with 2 years left or a year left. So you get a guy coming in with a year left. All right, he's not going anywhere. You're going to get whatever you're looking for out of that kid. So it's a short term thing, but it's a sure thing, right? And their jobs depend on their the production of their position. So all right, if I have to get these mercenaries so to speak for 2 years or a year to help me keep my job security, I'm going to do that, right?
Yeah.
And while they're still going to go after the high school recruits, but they're going to go after the sure thing. A guy that they know is going to come in and contribute, whether it's special teams or in the field, their first year. So, and then that trickle down effect, that's where it starts affecting the other, middle of the pack, high school recruits, the 2, 3 stars, the borderline 4-star guys who, may have been, 2 or 3 on the board. Now they're not even on the board.
Yeah.
So it all affects, everything in recruiting. I mean, you have to, see it from their, standpoint too, as coaches. I was talking to my buddy who's a coach here, and, he was saying like, hey, we need, job security too. Right. And if I got to show and prove, right away, hey, I'm gonna go, and I got some older kids, that are established, that can come in and, take my coaching and make my coaching, like look good right away, make me look good right away, because these coaches are trying to elevate as well, right? So they got to, they're trying to build their resume, and it's all about, how well their position group is performing. It's unfortunate, yes, but again, it is the world we are in right now.
Yeah, it is. And that's just one area you're talking about where teams are going to start focusing more on your top end recruits. Ohio State is going to do that because that's the way they have to go. They will still sign the developmental kids that are essentially coming in, right? And not a
Maybe.
I even hate saying it like this. I know, maybe, but will come in like at little to no investment and ride the bench out for 4 years and become a start. Maybe, right? But the other aspect, there's so many things in college football. So boom, you look at that and you ask yourself, dang, man, how much is this going to impact what kids out of high school get the opportunity to play at a high level in college, right? Or are you going to see a lot of kids going to the lower colleges first, coming up through the transfer portal? Is that the way we're going to see this go? And then you get the other aspect of this I brought up last time is there was literally just a linebacker from Miami that got approved for his 8th year in college football. He is going to turn 26 years old and be the linebacker for Miami if the information I looked at was correct. You also have quarterbacks.
That's crazy, man.
That have played. They're going to be playing for their 6th school this year. Their 6th school. And that will also impact this high school thing.
Yeah, and I think those are easy common sense fixes, right?
Yeah.
That will help, stem some of the, craziness like going on. Like, okay, there's an age limit and there's a transfer limit. Like, because, and the transfer limit can be academic, tied to academics, because not all of those credits are gonna transfer. They're not the school can tell you whatever, but they're not gonna make an exception like, oh yeah, we'll take those credits, and then you got other students who they haven't. So that's not gonna happen. That's the easy fix. So I think it should be, all right, you should okay, there should be maybe two times you transfer. One within your first 2 years, and then after, then as a graduate.
Yeah.
As a grad transfer, like it used to be. Just go back to that, because it's ridiculous. And then age limits. I didn't know you can get 2, injury red shirts.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, like 2 of those two. Like, no, it's unfortunate, yes. But now you've played 2 seasons after you played, after those injuries. All right, you have tape. Rehab, and you got to go be a pro, man.
Yeah.
You got to go be a pro.
That's the thing, man, is I might lose some fans for this, but I was thinking about the medical red shirt thing the other day, and isn't that part of the game, is understanding how to prepare your body to avoid injuries and not get injured and recover. That's not part of it.
No, part
because
of the
it
game
just happens too many times.
Part of the game is injuries, yes,
Okay.
but I don't think a kid should be like penalized for a catastrophic injury that that ended their season. But also the timing of it too. So if it happened, if you played, 6 to 7 games already, and and that happened, then then there should be a cutoff then there.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, what about if you don't want to punish a kid for getting injured? Then what about the whole, hey, you can't get a second year medical red shirt because you're about to turn 26 years old. You're about to turn 25 years old. I mean, isn't that kind of like, do you consider that?
Yeah, and that's where the age cutoff should come in.
Okay,
that's like put an age limit on it. Like, so if it's your second one and you're 24 or younger, then all right. But if you're 24 and older and you have your second your second catastrophic injury, no, you just don't get a chance to play another year. You already got your dang COVID year. Like come on, it's getting ridiculous. I mean, yeah, they're like kids are can compete and handle, but this dude is literally a grown man, playing against kids. Personally, pride wise, I couldn't live with myself doing that.
Yeah,
I did. I don't care, even if it's available to me. If it was my kid, I'm like, nah, son, you gotta chop it up, man. We gotta move on. Get some rehab. It's gonna be, you got a harder path if you're still trying to get get past playing professionally. We're just gonna have to rehab and show your leg is strong. But I'm not watching you as a 27-year-old parent in the stands watching my 27-year-old son play college football.
Hey,
I'm not doing that. Have some dang shame.
Before you know it, there's going to be dads playing against kids in college football, dude. Out there,
right? I mean,
it's wild.
It's crazy, man. I mean, I get the Mormon guys doing their, having gone on their missions and, like being older. That's one school, and it's like for religious reasons. But for, no. If you don't, and if you don't have a if you don't have multiple degrees in that time, either, no, you're disqualified. You can't.
Yeah. Hey, dude,
that's another
Christopher Sowers in the chat just brought this up. Wasn't there recently a college basketball player that went to play professionally in a different league and then decided to come back to college and he just got eligibility for Alabama?
For Alabama. It's crazy. But the only thing is he's not, I think he's only 24. He's not old. Yeah. And that's I think that's a different case because you also have the European kids who play professionally over there.
Yeah.
Then come here and go to college. So it's not too much different than, going playing in the G League and coming back. So I'm not crazy about that. As mad about that as I am the 27-year-old, 26-year-olds. I don't know. That's almost child abuse.
Yeah. Okay. So to move on, I 100% agree with you. There were players playing this year on Miami's team that were 24 years old going up against 19-year-olds. And I think that's the cutoff right there. I still think that's like, dang, bro. But that's a little much still.
You think about back in the day, when you redshirted, shoot, I graduated when I was 20. Well, I turned 24 after my
okay. Yeah.
senior year. But I redshirted my freshman year. And then, so I was there for 5 years. So that's why I said 24 is reasonable. I mean, that's not out of the ordinary. But anything after that is crazy.
I know. Put a transfer limit on it and just give everybody 5 years of college football. Boom. Everybody can play 5 years. Get rid of the red shirt. It's 5 years. and 24 is the cutoff. That's what it is. 5
5
years,
years.
can't get it figured out, then there's other avenues to go to try to get in the NFL. Go play in another
Yeah.
league somewhere, right? Go do something else. College football is for college football players. But to move on a little bit, we saw all the chaos in the portal. I've
Mhm.
interviewed a couple of the kids that came in to this Ohio State class, but I'm curious from a parent's perspective because as a fan, when you watch this, it's like, bro, I wonder what this is like for a player, for a parent, for an agent. I wonder what this moment is like. And I know everybody's is different because some people, right, they have that exit interview. They're aware of their position, they're aware of the details. And
Mhm.
when it comes time, boom, the portal's open. It's like, nah, we good, man. But also when the portal opens, boom, circumstances change, right? You could have that discussion with Ohio State. You could be fine, but even before the portal opens, there's so much tampering going on that, right, you might not have $1 million offer one day, and then the next day you wake up, you might have $1 million offer. I'm going the
Mhm.
long way around this question, but I wanted to ask you as a parent,
Uh-huh.
did you experience any stress or anything during this transfer portal period? Was there any like amount of angst in you at all, or was it pretty cool, calm, and collected for y'all?
Um, I don't know if it was not
Cool,
I
calm,
mean like angst
yeah,
or like nervous. I wasn't like you mean as far as like like Riley situation
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
no, because he said he's where he wants to be,
Mm-hmm.
and like doing the things to get to where he wants to be, and dealing with everything that comes with it, right? And
Yeah,
he's had this conversation with his coaches, and he knows what's in that room, and so he was fine with it. He's like okay with a linebacker coming in and competing.
yeah,
Like he's like, shoot, I'm here. He's got to like beat me out. We need the depth
mm-hmm.
and the experience. We're gonna like welcome him
Yeah,
with open arms, but we still compete. Still gotta like earn whatever you earn. But he understands that he has he's been there, that has a leg up on the
yeah,
system and everything. So it's all competition that he's never or would run from, and he's okay with it. Now if if they brought in multiple older experienced guys
yeah.
who like produced and started at other, or that would tell a totally different story,
But
right?
that's
So then,
something. But that's something you would know, right? That's something a player would know is about to happen.
yeah,
I'm
if you're paying
guessing.
attention, yeah,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, and it's all in the same amount of time when you know they can do the same thing, right? The portal. All right, you bring guys in the portal, or you bring multiple guys, in the portal at my position, and all right, and I'm seeing the writing on the wall. I'm like, okay, then I have to start having, like different conversations, right? Because what you're saying, is not lining up with, like what you're
Yeah,
doing. So now
yeah,
you're
that
not
makes sense.
telling me the truth, and stuff like that. What did
Yeah, yeah,
somebody
yeah,
say about
yeah.
that helmet?
Bro, they
Turn
said,
around to the
can
Illinois.
someone send Duke an OSU helmet for his shelf? I see a spot for it. Yeah, Duke, I'm not gonna lie, man. I don't see any Ohio State stuff on that shelf, man.
Okay, so
You want me to send you something
I didn't
or
play at Ohio State, and my
I
son's still
know,
playing at
bro.
Ohio State. So when he's done, I'm gonna have one there.
There we go. I
I
like
only
it.
have
I
my
like it.
helmets right now,
Yeah. All
and
right.
that is the
Let's
Syracuse helmet.
transfer. Let's transfer out of parent mode. Let's go
Mhm.
into football fan mode here. Let's talk about it. Ohio State's schedule came out today. I don't know if you
Yeah, I
saw it,
saw it.
but
I did.
but yeah. But so combined what the Buckeyes did in the portal. Oh no, I want to ask you this first. I
Uh,
want to ask you this. I know I feel good about this question. Ohio State has hired Arthur Smith as their offensive coordinator. You got any intel, any thoughts on that hire?
Just watching him, what he did in Pittsburgh.
Steelers.
Yeah, I think he has I think he can bring some of that, them dynamic looks, to college that should, maximize the talent that we have more.
Yeah. Let me add something to that question real fast, because you played in college, you played in the NFL. How different is it, right? Because I'm very stoked about the Arthur Smith hire, because I feel like having that much NFL experience gives you a pretty big advantage when coming to college football. You being a player, you've done it.
Yeah.
How much harder was the NFL? How much more important was scheme in the NFL? And essentially, how big is that advantage of being a coordinator in NFL and then coming down to the college level? Does that give you a pretty big advantage, you think?
I think so. Just well, for the simple fact that you haven't been a lot of looks that you're bringing back now to college football haven't been seen in the concepts that that you are using. A lot of them are universal, and everybody coordinators have their different tweaks to them. So that combined with, well, you're dealing with younger guys, so the uptake of the offense is a little hard. It's harder because you don't have the same amount of reps and time that you do have in the NFL. So it's all on how the kids who are taking the information and processing it, and then applying it. So it's all on that. So now can you not dumb it down, but make this
can you teach it to
for the kids? Can you teach it to the kids, right? And still keep some of the effectiveness that you had in your original offense. So we're gonna work through all that in the spring, but you have some pretty experienced receivers that will be draft eligible. So it's also going to, highlight their abilities as well. So, and I think, for the younger guys, it's going to make them, speed up and lock in, a lot sooner and a lot harder, with the opportunity to play, under a dang, former NFL coach, a year removed, or it'd be months removed from, coaching in NFL. So I think it's a big advantage for sure, and it's harder for teams to prepare for. They have to go back further to prepare. There's not a lot of game film. They got to watch NFL game film on different personnel. So it's gonna look a lot different. So that wrinkle is also an advantage going to next season as well. Yeah.
Hey, by the way, you do have an Ohio State helmet on your shelf, man. You don't see that little tiny mini helmet?
Oh,
bro.
Yeah.
Is that Riley's? Or no, just joking.
That's a little miniature. That's a little miniature one.
Hey, bro, speaking of, I wanted to bring this up when you said like Riley welcomes that competition. I know he does, man. On the interview, you were there when I asked him, "Hey, what's your goals for spring?" He said, "Win the Buckus Award." I'm like, "Dang, bro, it's just a spring, What do you mean the spring?" He's ready to go, bro. I can tell that, man.
Like he's chomping at the bit, man. Chomping at the bit. I can't wait. I can't wait. Like,
anyway, man,
I feel like a lot of young guys, I think the fan base are getting enamored with, the guys coming in and, saying, oh yeah, this guy is going to be next. And, already plugging in, like the transfer guys, and like really, I feel like he's lightweight disrespecting, some of the young bucks that came in that 2025 class that we were just raving about that, are also, chomping at the bit and can go. And like we'll have say. So it's not going to be surprising to me to see Zion and Epi and TJ really showing out because it's really like putting a chip on their shoulder. Like, wait, hold on, y'all excited about these new guys? Yeah, as you can be, but shoot, I'm here for a reason, and they, man, I'm excited for those dudes.
Dude, this happens all the time, man, and it's one of the things that I try to like talk to other fans about, and it's that what people want to at this time of year, they want to try to start putting the roster together for next year and base it off of how players look this year. And I'm like, dude, there's a whole off season to go. Players get better, especially young players. You know what I mean? Like, you can't look at a freshman's film, even though if we do watch, for example, Riley and TJ's reps they got in games, they were absolute dogs every chance they got on special teams and everything. But there are other freshmen, per se, that maybe got some reps in the game, and people will be like, oh, no, we saw their reps. I don't want them starting next year. It's just like,
listen,
what?
Zion, Zion could have played a lot more this year.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Oh, man, he can go. That dude can go. And like once he, has that freedom to, like be himself and, read blocks and, like make plays, he's going to be an impact player. And I believe Epi too. Epi has so much like built up. And I think him and Zion like are the same. I just see him, he's like a quiet dude, but he just looks like angry and he's like ready. That's why I can't wait to get up there and see some of these spring practices.
I've been trying to get them two on here. I'm still working on it. I want Epi and Zion to come on the show pretty bad. I had them on last year, but they might be too much in the zone, dude. I don't know. But I'm going to keep trying. You got any others?
Riley, I'll ask him.
Yeah. Shoot him. I'll shoot you a text too. But, bro, what about any more freshmen, man? You got any more names on that list that you think we should keep an eye out for? I don't want to put the pressure on you or anything, but
Devin, of course, like Devin's gonna be a dude for sure.
I'm trying to think.
Let me see who else.
Most of them left, bro. A lot of the defensive, most
got slim.
Yeah. There's no defensive tackles, defensive ends. The linebackers are still there.
They're there.
The secondary players, Devin Sanchez, and then there's the other corner, safety. Who did we get at safety?
He left.
Fahim Delane. He gone. Yeah, so you just said them all, essentially.
I said them all. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Hey, either way, dude.
But I was looking forward to Delane though, man. That one was a surprise to me, man.
Yeah. Was that your biggest surprise in your son's class anyway, on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah. But I mean, and I get it, his brother's down there, and I mean,
well, not anymore. Didn't his brother enter the portal too?
Yeah. I'm saying that again. Yeah, he did. I was like, dang, bro.
I wonder that is an interesting one because
but it could have been one of those things where like, hey, you're not gonna
listen, man. They were going after Terry Moore and Earl Little before he ever left, so it makes me question.
His brother was a safety too, right? Or was he a corner?
His brother was a corner.
Oh, okay.
His brother was a corner. Yeah. So you never know what the situations are, but yeah, that was one to me this year too. I was like, dang, bro, he would have been fighting for a starting job. Why'd he bounce again? But you never know. Everybody's got their own.
Yeah, another surprise was
Jarquez Carter. Yeah, Aaron Scott for sure.
That surprised me too. I was looking forward to him.
Yeah.
Where'd he go?
Oregon.
Oh, he went to Oregon. Yeah.
Fahim Delane went to LSU. Jarquez Carter went to Miami. Bryce West went to Wisconsin. But anyway. Overall, coming into this season, I'm sure you're aware of at least some of the players the Buckeyes picked up in the portal. You're aware of their schedule for next year. Give us a quick breakdown, dude, and we'll get you out of here on how do you think the Buckeyes did so far in this offseason with acquiring their talent, and where do you think this team's going to be next year?
I think they did a good job, with depth pieces, and experience. They definitely got depth, but guys, I have to, let it play out to really say, oh, this guy's going to be this guy's going to be that, because getting a different, different environment, different play style and responsibilities, kind of, changes your style of play. And, so all those things can. So I have to see how it plays out through the spring, how they fit into the system and, mold their game to, the style of play that, their position coach is looking for. So it just all depends. But I like the experience that we brought in for the schedule that we're going to face next season. So I think that's good. But like overall, we're still strong. We're still strong. Still a strong team. Still, I see us in Indiana again. Back in the Big Ten championship. But that's still a question mark that they're going to have the same success. Because they got to bring in. They got a lot of guys leaving. Going to bring in a whole bunch of a lot of different guys. And as far as like that culture piece, like they haven't been like that as long to really you have it embedded to where it's automatic that these guys are going to come in and fit what they're trying to do. Now I trust he's a good coach, so and he has a good staff that he may have, but I think it's harder for him. And guys like that bringing in all those transfers. It's different when they came with you. They've always been with you. Now you have to go back and get new guys that have been at other places. Yeah. So integrating them, it's going to be more of a challenge this year. So maybe we won't see.
Yeah, that's the other part that this transfer portal has changed. Is you used to be able to look at your schedule and have a really good idea of what games are going to be tough and what games are not going to be tough. As you see this year, Texas was preseason number 1. Penn State was preseason number 2. Texas was pretty good this year. Penn State, not so much. Was not the game we thought they were going to be. So we can all look at next year and think, hey, Dante Moore at Oregon, that's going to be a heck of a game. But there are so many things. I know. There are so many things that change. Indiana, all the JMU players are gone. That was the foundation. But Stig, obviously a really good coach. USC, right, got better this year. Are they going to be way better next year? Are they going to continue to be USC? There's all type of things, especially with this transfer portal, man, that you can't lock it down. I mean, we know Texas is going to be a tough game. It's at Texas, but how tough? You know what I mean? How tough is it going to really be? Yeah. It's impossible to say until you get on the field and you see what teams are going to do.
We already know. Look, it's going to be the same as last year. Like going into, we got first, 2 new starters at quarterback. Only like this year, now your quarterback's experience, right? Now this year, it's going to be they had to reload a whole bunch of all new guys on defense, at similar positions, linebacker position, same thing, and the same with us. Now that's when it's going to come down to coaching. And again, what do we have? We have coaches that are still there, who developing their young guys. They didn't bring in no new young guys. No, they developed their guys. So we're still doing it. They're going out and getting guys like to develop. The freshmen aren't going to come in. They don't have a freshman that's going to come in at linebacker and start and be like Anthony Hill. They don't have that. Yeah. So all that's still out there, and it's all how you attack the spring, summer, and show up for that first game. And I like our chances because our coaching staff is again. Elite,
Dude,
elite, elite.
especially James Laurinaitis. That dude, as soon as he became the coach, he went in, got your son Riley, who I consider a 5-star. TJ, he was very sought after. He got Eli Lee's in the room too. But then this year goes out and gets
Doing it again. That's sincere.
yeah, he's a 5-star now and going to be an
Yeah.
absolute beast. And not only that, like you look what he did with Cody Simon. Look what he did with Sonny
Yes.
Styles and ex
Sonny
safety.
Arvell.
Arvell,
Look what he did with
where he's
Arvell
took
in like
1
2
year
years.
on the field. He's a first-round draft pick.
Yeah, because you see 1 year on the field. Well, 2 years on the field, 1 year
Yeah,
starting.
yeah.
But
Yeah, correct. That's what I meant.
that just going from edge to linebacker in those years, but he always having a hand on him and being able to do what he did and get him to where he was, in that shorter time. It just speaks volumes for the developer that he is. And that's why I trust him to do that and continue to be that.
Yeah, for sure. Steely, thanks for the $1.99. He said, thanks, Duke. You're awesome. What you got for Steely, Duke?
Hey, I appreciate you, man. You're awesome. Appreciate that $1.99.
Yes, sir. Sean the Hammer, thank you so much for gifting us a Buckeye Boys membership. Speaking of that, you can become a member at the Buckeye Boys for $1.99 a month. It'll all go back into the channel for ticket giveaways and stuff like that. We got one more fan question. Huh?
I said my appearance fees.
Yeah. Throw Duke a little. We'll throw him some Chick-fil-A gift cards, something like that. All right, here we go, Duke. Last question. What do you think about the linebacker room for this season?
I think it's again, it's a young, dynamic linebacker room for sure. You got the experience of Peyton. Riley now has some experience under his belt, still young, versatile. You got the young buck and Sincere. You got the experience that they brought in from Wisconsin, a guy who's put in some big time snaps, in big games to come in and shore up the experience in that room. So I'm excited to see how they're going to be utilized this year, because they're so dynamic, man, that just keeping them in the box, pardon the punt, to I feel like we'll handcuff them because they can do so much.
I know,
from rushing a passer, and bringing that speed, that extra speed off the edge, that's the game. So I'm excited to see how Patricia integrates them into the defense this year.
I know, and plus year 2 of Matt Patricia. I know when I was talking to Riley and TJ, you ask what their favorite things are to do. TJ's like coming off the edge, and forget exactly what Riley said about it, but
coverage and coming off the edge and banging.
I know, I don't know. This is how my mind works. When I think about Riley, it's like, how the heck are you going to replace, Sonny Styles, who was essentially like really good at everything, got way better at coverage this year. And it's like, well, Riley has every one of the tools that Sonny had, at least that's my opinion of the matter.
He's a mix of both of them.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
He's a mix of Arvell and Sonny.
Yeah, but then you look at TJ, and the couple reps I saw him have this year, whenever they put that dude off the edge, I'm going to tell you something else. He got there quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yes, he
fast.
did. Yes,
and
he
he's
did.
A little bulldog, bro. That dude is.
He is.
Traps are like this. You're talking to him, right?
I mean, he still has room to fill up. I mean, he still
that's wild.
Has space to get thicker. So it's gonna be he's gonna have a good spring.
I'm excited, but Duke, I appreciate you coming on, bro. We'll definitely get you back on. Long off season, a lot to talk about, but I appreciate you joining us tonight, brother.
Hey, I appreciate you having me, man. Anytime.
Yeah, man. Any last words for Buckeye Nation?
Hey, stay the course, man. Keep the faith. OH.
There you go. Catch you next time, Duke.
All right, see you, man.
See it. Well, there you have it, guys. Duke Pettyjohn back on the channel. Riley Pettyjohn's dad going to be, my opinion, a starting linebacker for the Buckeyes this upcoming season. I know throws a little bit of wrench and Christian coming in the room and whatnot, but Riley and TJ are going to be pressing for some big time playing time this year, and you couldn't ask for two better young men to come in and do it. The skill sets they have is absolutely ridiculous. Man, I wanted to say, oh yeah, tomorrow, Daniel Sanchez coming on the show. We will have a similar conversation, maybe talk about a few different things there. Then Thursday, me, Sports Talk Jay, and Nevada at 7:10. And we'll see what comes about Friday or whatnot. But listen, guys, hit that like button if you would, please. Subscribe button on both channels. Y'all have been killing it with subscriptions, by the way. The Buckeye Boys shooting up the charts right now with the subscriptions. I love the support, man. Don't know what happened, but I appreciate your guys' support over there on the Buckeye Boys channel. Also, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, give Scoop a like and a subscription on those as well. Has Kangaroo Black ever come on? You know, I was talking to him and he agreed to come on and then he stopped talking to me. So I don't know what happened there. I might message Begin, see if he wants to come on. But yeah, I'm all about having guests on. If you guys got ideas for bringing different guests on, maybe a different show that you guys watch and you'd like to see us interact on this show, definitely let me know about it. I'm all about having guests on. I like expanding, relationships with people, building new relationships in this YouTube world. I love it. I'm about that life. But again, guys, appreciate all the support. Love you guys. Go Buckeyes. OH.